Welcome back to In Our Own Defense Podcast. We're your hosts, Attorney A.D. Winters and Dr. Dolores Tarver. We're here live on location at the Lorraine Motel, the National Civil Rights Museum here at the Lorraine Motel. And one of the things that we know that happened on that horrible, dreadful day here at this hotel on April 4th, 1968, we know that Dr. King was assassinated. But there's a more important day. On April the 3rd, 1968, he gave what I feel is the most powerful economic speech that we've ever heard in Black America, where he shows us a strategic way to lay out a blueprint of how we withdraw our economic power. And he said that in anticipation of speaking at this sanitations worker. So he's there in this hotel. It's storming, raining that night. The winds are really high in April here. And he's in this hotel giving this speech. And the crowd is going wild at the Kojic Church because they thought they were going to see King and Jesse and Ralph and A.D. Younger, all of them there. But they sent him back. They sent Jesse Jackson back to come and get Dr. King. What do you think Dr. King is thinking about while he's there in that hotel writing that speech?
No, it would not be me if I didn't think about psychologically how he must have been doing. And so we had talked about earlier, here's a man that was receiving death threats. We know that he probably at this point knew he was going to die. He may not have known the exact moment, the exact hour, but he knew his time was coming up. And I can only imagine the fear, the anxiety, the concern that he must have expressed to people in his inner circle. And I'm sure he had the same question that we often have. Why me? Why do I have to be the one that ends up having to carry all of this weight, this heaviness? Why can't I leave? Why can't I take my break and let somebody else have it? And I think he's an excellent example of how when you're walking in your purpose, you are going to have times when you don't want to do it, when you don't want to show up, when you want to quit. And hopefully you have people in your support system who are going to remind you of your walk and why you're here. And so he, to me, is one of the people that shows ultimately the sacrifice that we make for other people. He put us first. He invested in us. He believed in us, even at the point to knowing he was going to lose his life. So if he could do that, then there is no reason why we can't show up for ourselves. There's no reason with the storms raging. You all have heard the songs when the storms are raging in my life, right? So he is a good example of what you do when you're struggling. You go to your support system, you stand up when you know you're right, when you know that people deserve the best, and you invest. And that's what he did. So I want you all to hear that you're worth it, you're important, you're of value. So invest in yourself.
All I want to say is amen. But Dr. Tarver says it, perfect. That investment, that economic empowerment, pooling those resources that Dr. King talks about, and then investing. So remember, Lorraine Motel is not the motel only of his assassination, but this is the moment that he had written and worked on some of the most powerful economic empowerment and strategy for our people. Again, stop buying Coca-Cola, he says. He says, stop buying Wonder Bread. He says, withdraw our economic power from them. Take our money out of their banks and have a bank-in movement by putting it in Tri-State Bank. So there are some opportunities here that we can learn from the power of what he did here from this hotel, than just focusing on the tragedy that occurred. So that's what I think we should take from this. And our next stop, we're going to go on location at the Mason Temple Church, where he gave quite possibly the most powerful economic speech in African American history. Thank you. This has been In Our Own Defense Podcast. We're your hosts, Attorney A.D. Winters and Dr. Dolores Tarver, here live from the National Civil Rights Museum on Dr. King Day.